It's the diary of a tired black man. Hey, it's the diary of a tired black man. Peace, family. It's your boy FONZi NeuTRON representing for Bout.online.com. Appreciate you guys tapping back in. If it's your first time joining, welcome. If you're familiar, then definitely welcome back. Salute, support. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. So we got a few things to discuss this week as usual. I'm joined with Dean also, so he's gonna be chiming in. Definitely looking forward to breaking down some commentary. What's good with you, fam?
Yeah, man, it's good to be here, man. Glad to be back. Looking to spit the breeze and speak what's on my mind.
Well, I've got a clip that I want to share, for purposes, obviously, conversation, commentary. We know YouTube can sometimes trip and say that it's like reuse content, but we're actually gonna disseminate some of this. So we're gonna check this out and then we're gonna get back with some thoughts. So let's see if I pull this up.
These comments, they saying us black men, we get successful and get a white woman. Would y'all want to speak on that?
I'll definitely speak on that.
And that's sad. That hits me in the chest.
It hit you in the chest?
Yes, it did, because it's sad. Because they're not saying, I think white women are beautiful. They're not saying, I have a preference for white women. They're saying that in rebuttal to this conversation because they're tired of the black woman that won't go to the gym. They're tired of the black woman that doesn't have a hot meal ready when he comes home from work. They're tired of shit like that. So they say, you know what? Where can I go now? What can I do now? Because every black woman I encounter got that attitude. I don't need you. I don't want you. I don't got to. Girl, I don't got to cook. You doing too much. That's the attitude that have us by ourselves. And I think that's a cop-out too. You by yourself because don't nobody want you. And now you just saying you don't get attached.
Okay, so, that's a short clip. I wanted to play that sort of leading up from our last conversation where we spoke just about relationships and sort of looking at things in the modern society. Even Dr. Boyce Watkins, he posted on his Instagram or his Twitter, it could have been, I believe, just earlier. It says, a lot of men are stressed out, frustrated and depressed, and it's because the woman in his life overwhelming him with nagging, complaints and negative energy. She thinks she's done nothing wrong because the whole world told her that the woman is always the victim. This might explain why a lot of American men aren't willing to get married. They see it as a big old headache. And, it's got quite a lot of retweets and people in support of it. And it kind of led me to kind of get into this conversation because I saw another video on YouTube the other day. It was titled just about, are women the prize and stuff. So, looking at these relationship dynamics, we touched on marriage even last time. And just from some of these clips that we've seen, I don't want to seem like we're just poking fun at, let's just say, or just targeting just black women, because I know that clip that I just played was speaking towards black women, but I want to sort of broaden the conversation in a whole.
Yeah, so my theory is this, it's kind of following on from last time. It's like men have to battle out there in the world to make it in this world, to be successful in your career, in your hustle, if you're in your own business, whatever it is you're doing. Out there, it's a war to be successful. It's competitive, it's stressful. So when you come home after a 9-10 hour shift, you don't want nagging, you don't want attitude, you don't want aggro, you want peace. And that's all a lot of men want. Men are simple beings, they just want peace, they want quiet. They want to have to shut up and make a sandwich, basically. I know that sounds very rude, but that's just the crass way of saying it. And a lot of these women, not all, but a lot of these women just can't seem to see that men are simple beings. We don't demand a lot. But when we're out in the world, it's having to deal with your manager, having to deal with work colleagues, having to deal with clients and customers and everything else, then you get maybe a stressful commute home. It can all be too much after all that to then come home and have to deal with your lady. She's supposed to be your helpmate. She's supposed to be on your side. But she's giving you just as much aggro, if not more aggro than you've had in the world all day. And it's like, I need a break. I need a break. So that's why a lot of men are just like, you know what, I'm checking out. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. I don't want the stress in my life. So that's what I think about that.
Yeah, we did speak about this last time in context of a lot of guys checking out. And, I know some people are going to argue and say that is like an archaic or maybe, old school way of looking at things, saying that the woman should be, at home and, all that sort of stuff and be submissive or, to the effect of not give the guy any stress. So there are a lot of different points to look at. And that clip that was just brought up with that black woman, I know sometimes people go a bit crazy with generalizations and stereotypes because she was saying that, black women don't want to work out or be in the gym. And I thought, every black woman isn't overweight. I know there's a proportion of that probably are that stereotype. Well, maybe in the States, but I think sometimes we just gotta be careful because it could be seen as some of the stuff I think is fair and then some of it's unfair. Like what Dr. Boyce Watkins actually said, I think he hit the nail on the head, and we do see more and more signs of that. And it wanted for me to bring it back to where we have this concept of there being a prize, because in one aspect, I feel as though a lot of females are perpetuating themselves as being like a prize, so to speak. But then, as you said, on the flip side, there's a lot of guys who aren't necessarily interested in going that extra sort of mile or putting in that extra sort of effort if they deem it as not being worth their time in present day. So it's sort of like you've got people on one side, putting themselves on a pedestal, I guess, or being put on a pedestal. Then on the other side, you got people not necessarily wanting to show that interest. So how does things actually move forward?
Well, I mean, talking about the prize, it's like for a man to be considered a prize, he's got to be successful. And to be successful, it takes many years of hard work. When we talk about a man being a prize, you're talking about someone who's doing well in their career, got their own business, which is successful, they're making good money, they got their own home, blah, de, blah, de, blah. When we talk about a woman being a prize, a lot of people are referring to her looks. Now, if you deep it, a woman's looks are something she's born with. That's not something she's worked hard to achieve. That's just genetics. That's like she's won. If a woman's good looking, basically she's won a genetic lottery, right? She's 20, 21 years old. She hasn't actually done anything to attain those good looks. That's just something she's born with from her parents. Whereas for a man to be considered a prize, he's had to grind, he's had to fight, he's had to go through all these hurdles and all these barriers in his life, in his career to be successful. So on the one hand, you've got one person who's considered a prize because she's pretty, because it's something she's born with, and then you got another person who's considered a prize because they've had to grind. So who really is the prize? In addition to this,
yeah. So I was going to say, because it can be subjective in the aspect of like when people say good looks, they say it can be subjective based upon where you are, what region, even of the world and stuff like that. Because what could be deemed as highly attractive in one place, maybe not deemed as attractive elsewhere. So it can be quite subjective.
That is absolutely true. Looks are subjective, but I think generally, I don't want to generalize too much, but generally we know what's good looking. I mean, we could look. I think we could all agree, whether you're in Europe, North America, Africa, Asia, that Rihanna is better looking than Lizzo. Now, I know some people like women.
That's their preference. Yeah,
That's their preference, absolutely. And that's what they like. They crack on with that. But it's like, let's be honest, Rihanna, Lizzo, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. 9 out of 10 people are going to be thinking Rihanna is better looking than Lizzo. So looks are subjective, but generally, I think there is a general standard of beauty. And that's like, symmetrical face, slim, smooth skin, that kind of thing. So that's what I think about that.
Well, no, definitely. There's things like that that attract us and stuff, and that we can agree upon. I only, I mention it because just taking this whole prize aspect and concept, and it sounds to an aspect where you say like females are more so given that title as the prize based on looks. Do you think that's something that comes from them themselves, or do you think that's projected onto them from guys? And I want to get a bit more into it because I do feel as though obviously they do have a lot more to them than just looks, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, that's all they bring to the table. But in terms of how we look at things in modern society, just that projection, do you think this is something that's been projected onto them or something that they're projecting themselves? Because we do see it a lot, especially on social media. I see a lot of females and they put up certain memes and posts, and not to say you can get a 100% accurate depiction of somebody's mindset just from what they post, but you can to some sort of degree. But when you see a lot of stuff and it's all generally based on, as you said, looks a lot of the times, how good I look. They use that as a basis of what they bring to the table in a relationship sometimes. Oh, I look good, and, sometimes bedroom stuff and things of that nature. But going to the underpinning of it, do you think it's something that's been projected onto them by the males of society or something that they project themselves?
I think it's a bit of both. I think a lot of women, and to some extent, some women's narcissistic behavior is because of men. Men have put them on a pedestal. They've given them compliments they haven't deserved. They've given them rewards they haven't deserved. For example, a man invites a woman into his life, and before she's proven herself, he's already buying her gifts, taking her to expensive restaurants, showering her lots of attention, and she hasn't done anything to earn that. Women have to earn it. I always say this: if you join a company, and within 2 weeks of joining that company, they've already given you a pay rise, they've already given you a bonus, they've already given you your own office with your name on the door, you'd be thankful for it, but inside you'd be like, hang on a minute, I haven't earned this. I don't deserve this. And that's the same with women who hook up with a guy, and the guy's already given her the world before she's earned it. You've only known the guy 2 weeks, and he's already buying her this, that, and the other. So I think part of the reason why women think they're the prize is because of men and giving them rewards before they've earned it. And in addition to this, we live in a social media age now. Women use social media to get self-esteem. So if she's feeling down about herself, all she has to do is go on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, post up a picture, she gets 100 likes within an hour. Boom, her self-esteem's gone up. So if she feels down, but now her self-esteem feels up. Whose fault was that? Well, it's the guys, because most of those likes are going to be from guys, hungry guys who probably want to find her attractive and might think, oh, if I like her picture, she might like me, and we can make something happen. So I think a lot of the women thinking they're the prize and that kind of thing, I think it's a lot of it's men's fault. But we know that in general, women are to some extent more insecure than men. I think makeup, for example, the makeup industry is a multi-billion-pound industry, right? Makeup, mascara, that kind of thing. We know this. And women, obviously, people who buy makeup to enhance their looks, because women inherently know that their looks are their biggest commodity in the dating arena. We know this. It's not, men don't really care about their accomplishments, how much they earn, what qualifications they've got, what university they went to. Their women's main commodity is their looks. They know this, men know this. So to answer your question, I think it's a bit of both. I think women thinking they're the prize and thinking that, they're better than men, especially if they're attractive. I think part of that fault lies with the men who are giving them too much adulation before they've earned and deserved it.
Right. I mean, it stirs up a lot of different thoughts because somebody was using an example the other day about the actor Michael B. Jordan, I believe, and they say that he went to some type of show and he saw somebody that used to sort of take jibes at him, a female, when he was down. And so what you say, it's making me just think about certain things because in one aspect, let's say you could have a guy who's on his journey, so to speak, progressing, building his business or building himself up, or what he's doing. And he could be overlooked in that aspect by a female who feels she's superior in looks or, maybe, fashion or and stuff like that, but actually overlooking his personality. I'm not saying that doesn't happen both ways, but I thought that was just interesting. It kind of stuck out from what you were saying. One of the things you spoke about where you said like people sort of earning things in the aspect, I guess, of females having to earn instead of, guys just taking them on dates and that sort of stuff. We've heard the stories of some of us, we know females like that. They, that they got guys saved in their phone as Pizza Hut and, food, multiple different guys under different names because it's a free meal to them, and they know that they can, sort of back the islands and stuff and people go take them out and stuff like that. But it did hearken me to think of on the flip side, and I know some people may say it's a bias, but where we say like females giving up everything that they have, so to speak, on physical level, more so to do with like the sexual side of things, and then expecting more from a guy afterwards, because it's like you made an example when you said like getting a job and they're kind of giving you all the benefits, and then how are you expected to work for it? It's like you've already been paid. I remember I used to hire graphic designers before and say, I want you to do X amount of work for the year, and some of them would be like, oh, I need this much paid up front. I say, I'm not paying you, because if I pay you, you ain't gonna do the work because you've already been paid. We gotta take it bit by bit, and I'll pay you each month, you know what I mean? Because if I give you all that money now, it's the incentive for you to work. You would have to really want to do that work, you know what I mean? Your mindset might change. So I say all that to say, even in the aspects of like relationships, let's say females giving up a certain type of stuff, or guys they're getting together, and then there's an expectancy of the guy to sort of fall in line with them. And I feel as though that can be a dangerous move as well, which I think a lot of people do. And because when you spoke about benefits, it's like, where does that benefit? I think people put a lot of value into what they can do in the bedroom and stuff like that, and sure, but where's the wider benefit within that? And I see people bragging on how good they are in the bedroom, and all that stuff's cool, but there gotta be something a bit more than that you bring to the table also, I'd say.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like, when you're inviting a female into your life or whatever,
and if a female giving you just that, then how else she gonna expect you to keep it? What else she gonna bring to the table after that?
Exactly. It's like, is she your helpmate? Is she helping you? I don't know. An example: your car needs to go to the MOT. So for that one day when your car's in MOT, can she give you a lift to work and home again, or something like that? It can't just be about superficial things. There's got to be more to it. Is she helping you? Is she following your lead? Is she following your instructions? But like I say, I do think it's partly the men's fault, because a lot of men, as I said last time, don't know how to lead. But in addition to this, I also think it's like a situation where, because a lot of men are just happy to have any woman in their lives, these women feel that they don't need to do anything. So we're kind of putting the blame on them. But from their perspective, can you blame them? If there's a guy who's willing to give them the world when they haven't done anything, well, from her point of view, well, it's good for her, isn't it? Why shouldn't she take advantage of it? You hear these women now who literally don't have a job. They actually don't have a job, yet they go on these flashy holidays to Dubai and Paris and Miami and all these other places. Well, someone's paying for that. Someone's sponsoring them. So you have all these women who are like 19, 20, 21 years old, haven't really accomplished anything, haven't really done anything, living the jet set lifestyle. Who's providing that for them? It's the man. It's the guys who are doing that, like almost like sugar daddies, if you like. So it's like, that's men's fault. If you can get something for nothing, then why wouldn't you? As I said, the example I use with job is a perfect example of that. If you can get a pay rise and a bonus all within 2 weeks when you haven't even done the work to deserve that, you're laughing, aren't you? So, I would probably say that women being a prize in society I'll probably lean more to it being men's fault, really, than women's. I'll probably blame a lot of guys out there. Simps are ruining the dating game. I do honestly, I've felt that for a number of years now. Simps are just giving them too much too soon. And it's like they're ruining the dating game. But what these women have to realize is that these benefits that they're getting from men aren't going to last forever. As I said earlier, their main commodity is the looks. Looks don't last. The Bible says beauty is fleeting, right? Once the woman gets into her mid-30s or whatever, for some before that, her looks are going to start to decline. And there's a younger versions of her coming through. Every day, there's a new batch of women coming through who are 20, 21. And then these women who are kind of in their 30s, they're going to get replaced. So those things they're getting before, that's going to stop. So then you have to ask yourself, if you haven't acquired any skills throughout your 20s, and all you've done is just flatter your pretty eyelids to get things, when you get replaced by the younger women and you're no longer in demand, what's your life going to look like then? And that's what these women don't often realize. The thing is this: older women don't put young women on game. Us guys, we have older men in our lives who give us advice. Older men who've got more experience than us, who've seen more, who've done more. They give us advice. I've got people in my life who give me such good advice that's helped me so far. With a lot of older women don't give their younger women advice. So when these women get to their 30s, they're stuck. Suddenly there's no one to pay their rent. There's no one to buy their dinner. There's no one to fly them out to all these glamorous places around the world. Because they're not attractive anymore. Their looks, well, they're not necessarily not attractive, but their looks have declined because it's going to happen to everyone, right? Looks don't last. There's younger versions of them who are now the in-demand ones who are getting all the benefits that they got when they were 21, 22. So what then? They're in a precarious situation. So in my opinion, older women should put younger women on game. There's a famous model called Borshkova. I think I might have pronounced her name wrong, but she's a Czechoslovakian model. It was called Czechoslovakia back in the 80s when she was doing her thing, and she was the most famous model of her time. Right? She used to get flown out to places like Monaco. Monaco's like what Dubai is now, is what Monaco was then. She used to get flown out to Monaco and Paris and all these other places, and she became a multi-millionaire just because of her looks. And she had sugar daddies and people willing to give her the earth, and she didn't even have to, give her the box or anything like that. She's now in her 50s, and there was a video of her on YouTube crying because she's like, throughout my 20s and my 30s, I got everything for doing nothing just because of my looks. And then when my looks faded, I can't do anything now. All that stuff that I had that made my life great is gone. And she's actually a video of her crying on YouTube about it. And I think that video should be shown to these young women. She was a supermodel who became a multimillionaire because of her looks and got everything just because of her looks. But that ended.
Yeah,
these women, the same thing could happen to them.
A tragic example, slightly off topic, but it sort of reminds me of, I believe it was Anna Nicole Smith also.
Okay.
And she married a, very rich old guy. And, her life did become marred with some tragedy and stuff afterwards. But I definitely like to hear some females' thoughts on it. So if anybody listening and female persuasion, you got any thoughts on any stuff we're saying, definitely drop us some comments and let us know. I want to play, not sort of devil's advocate here, but there was something that struck a chord with me because a lot of times I see females online, they say they feel as though that there's like, I don't say a disconnect with a lot of the males and stuff because, me, I don't really like to push the whole gender wars thing, but they say there's a lot of guys that seem to be like, they have strong disdain for females in a lot of the stuff that they say. They don't seem to have a level of respect. Now, I don't think, obviously we can't answer that for anybody, but there's that sort of energy that they feels out there just with some stuff that guys be putting out. It's got like a very anti-female slant. I myself obviously could never take that slant, but I'm going to say on the flip side of things, because a few of the things that we spoke about in the aspects of the prize thing, and it was based on, you said like the woman on the look side of things and the guy on the finance side of things, but what we've seen today in modern society, obviously a lot of things change, and we touched on it last time we were speaking about finances and stuff. Even more recently, Faith Evans is soon to be, I think, divorced husband. Stevie J says that he's won a suit in getting alimony and stuff from her. So I say that to say, because if we're looking at it in today's times now where the female could actually be the breadwinner in a financial aspect, would you deem it different then and say, okay, if she is wielding that sort of power dynamic from the financial standpoint, would she be the prize then they're in the relationship? And also, how do you feel about guys being able to even sue and stuff for alimony and stuff as we see it now in divorce cases, and some of them, a lot of guys are getting paid out?
To answer your question, no, because even though women are earning more, the biological imperative, the things that we look for within the dating arena haven't changed. So society may have changed in terms of women earning more, got their own jobs, got their own money. But what men look for in women and what women look for in men inherently hasn't changed for centuries. That's a biological, almost like a primal thing that goes back generations. So for example, men are naturally the leaders, the protectors. That's not going to change. No matter how much a woman earns, that's not going to change. Women on the whole, to men, are beauty objects, and men are success objects. This is to some extent. Women are beauty objects, men are success objects. Now, even though the dynamics of society have changed over the decades in terms of earning potential and that kind of thing, those things are still the same. So I don't think there's ever going to be a crossover where it's like what men have looked for in women over centuries, and what women have looked for men over centuries, is suddenly going to change. So there's not, put it this way, right? A 21-year-old guy is not going to get hit up on Instagram, right, and have a female celebrity like, say, Beyonce or Rihanna offer to fly him out to Dubai or Miami or Paris or one of these kind of places. A 21-year-old female will get hit up by a male wealthy celebrity. Every day it happens. It's not going to happen the other way around.
I think Floyd Mayweather has done it a few times.
Exactly. There's loads of them. It's not going to happen the other way around. So men don't care about a woman's money. You know, put it this way, right? Lizzo, a male equivalent of Lizzo would be seen as attractive. A man who's overweight but a multi-millionaire, famous, successful, would be seen as attractive to women. Lizzo is not seen as attractive to men, even though she's a millionaire. She's successful in her career. She's rich. So the dating dynamics are still the same.
It's still the. I mean, it's an interesting one. So, what do you think in regards to, you know, I guess guys doing that and being able to, you know, let's say they put a certain amount of time, energy, resource into the relationship. The woman just so happens to be, you know, making more. Maybe she's a celebrity, like a Faith Evans, you know. And when it comes to the end of it, and they look things over, and they say,
this is part.
They're entitled to a portion of that, or do you think that takes away from them being as a man?
Well, this is partly women's fault, you see, because in the last 20, 30 years, we've seen this push for feminism and equality. So it's like, okay, well, if that's what you want, if you want to be treated like a man, then we can go down that path. But deep down, women don't want that, really. If they were to be honest with themselves, you know, there's this push for complete equal rights, everything the same. But let's be real, it's like we live in a society where it can't be that. Men have to be men, women have to be women. So I even though women can earn a lot of money, if they want equality, it'll backfire on them. If that's what they're pushing for, it won't work for them, because that's not intrinsically, biologically what they desire on the whole.
Well, some say it's sort of backfiring now, with, not to get too much off into a tangent, but even with stuff we see happening with like the alphabet community and stuff as well, and different legislation, things impacting them in sports. And some people saying, hey, well, you know, you guys asked for feminism, or you guys asked for this. And
exactly,
you know, these are sort of residual effects. I mean, you know, before we wind down, we got a few more points. And there was a question that was posed, and it said, do you think it's a good idea then for a guy to move in with a woman? Like, let's say she's earning the money, you move into her house and stuff.
Absolutely not. No. I don't think it's a good idea for a man to move in with a woman. The reason why is because if you move into a woman's house, you have no control. It's her house. Her name's on the deeds. If you guys have some kind of disagreement, she can just kick you out, just like that. And then where can you go? As I said, men should be leaders. How can you lead if you're in someone else's house? If you're in their castle, if you're in their house, they are by default the leader, because it's their house and they can tell you what to do. You can't tell them what to do because it's their house. And if you have a disagreement, there's the door. Goodbye. In addition to this, I think a man should always have his own place, because you need to know that if things get messy in a relationship, then there's always somewhere for you to go. In addition to this, I don't think it's a good idea for a man to move into a woman's domain, because you as a man, you need to have your own castle. There needs to be somewhere that you can say, this is my home. Like, I'm in my house right now. This is the one place in the world where I'm in charge. I am the king of this castle. And anyone comes in here is under my, you know, what I say. Yeah, exactly. And a man needs to have that. I think a man needs to have that, you know. I don't think it's a good idea for a man to move in with a woman unless he has his own place somewhere else in his name that he can call his home. So if things do get messy, he can say, right, I'm off to my own place. But just to move into a woman's house, and that's just that, and that's your only abode, that's your only residence, it's not a good idea.
You know, definitely an interesting one. You know, running out of time, we're definitely going to wind this one down. I mean, is there any other thoughts you've got just skating around these topics? I do know it's always going to be polarizing, especially when we're looking at things from a modern relationship standpoint. There's, as you said, fundamentally a lot of things haven't changed, but there are different things for us to consider now. I guess as we're winding down, do you feel as though there is a prize then, or do you think it's just a subjective sort of term that can be applied where it fits? You know, ultimately, do you think it's just that's the choice?
Exactly that. It's a subjective term where it can be applied wherever it fits based on that person's opinion, because it's not like an official term. It's not an official title, is it? That man's a prize or that woman's a prize. It's not an official title. It's just someone's own opinion. I just think that I'm a firm believer that men and women are better together. So we should, for men and women to be together, we have to listen to each other's wants and desires and adhere to traditional gender roles. I do believe that, women being the so-called prize in society, I believe it's going to go full circle and things will go back to how they were before. I'm starting to see that already. It's when women have too much power and control, they don't like it. I mean, it's a whole new topic which I could go into. We haven't got time now.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
quickly,
we got about 5 minutes winding down. I know there was a show that you spoke to me about before when you said they did a bit of a social experiment as well. I guess that might coincide somewhat.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's something that I don't want to go too much in depth with now because it'll go off on a tangent. It's basically a whole new conversation, essentially. But this whole thing about men and women being a prize, I just think everyone's just got to listen to each other, adhere to traditional gender roles, and everything will be blessed. I also am a firm believer that, men have to act like you are worth something, you're about something, and giving people something they haven't deserved and haven't earned is not acting like you're about something. That's acting like you're just a simp, a doormat, and you haven't got any value.
Yeah. I mean, with that note being said, I think a huge amount of responsibility definitely needs to be taken on both sides in different aspects. I know in the aspect of sometimes guys fall short and sometimes female fall short, but sometimes people are given rope to sometimes hang themselves, proverbially, in a different sense. Even just the point that you just made about, giving somebody so much stuff. And then I think that does happen in a lot of aspects where, whether erroneously or naively, some females may think, this is the answer. I'm going to snag me a guy. I'm going to just, let him in and, we're going to do, and this, that, and the third, and do a whole bunch of things at a certain type of level. However, then not really putting the guy through the ringer, or then having the expectation that he then has to, meet. And I think sometimes, that responsibility needs to be on both sides to be taken. I think when it comes to guys as well, some guys I think need to lighten up, and just females as a whole, as you said, listen, communicate, have that sort of conversation and try and evoke around for understanding a bit more, you know what I mean? I think that's definitely necessary and stuff too, but ultimately we want to push for healthier relationships in society. We do know there are different sorts of groups out there, and books and audio books and the internet, so guys, do the knowledge. There's no excuse to really be ignorant in today's times. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, we're going to be chiming back in with some other discussions based around relationships and just other things going on in the diaspora and the community. Do check us out on BadOnline.com. I want to say shouts out to Mixer Reviews. Check out some of his reviews, news, and commentary on there. You both FONZi NeuTRON. We're going to wind out on this one this week. Peace.
It's the diary of a tired black man. It's the diary of a tired